It's got so much to do with stories.
And we're also incredibly unique. And we all have our own languages and we all tell our own stories.
I feel like I'm more of a storyteller than I am a designer.
So the Nando's Portal to Africa is an online collection of South African designed and manufactured pieces of furniture. We have more than 30 individual designers that are represented on the portal with many of their pieces from their collections. These pieces are relevant to the Nando's world, and we've utilized many of them in restaurants, casas in Southern Africa, and we feel that we should share them with the world through the Portal to Africa. This is a platform where global designers that create Nando's restaurants throughout the world can access South African design.
As South Africans, we tell a functional story.
I like to think of us as sort of three-dimensional storytellers.
Like, there's so many designers who are like technically gifted and technically so much better than I am. But I think what sets me apart is I can tell a good story, and I use design to tell that story.
What's interesting about South African design is the idea that we are a new society, a new culture, and there's so much to sort of uncover and unpack and define.
So when I start designing, I always like go back to my childhood. I don't know why, but I always go back to my childhood. And when people see the work, and I tell them like the stories of what inspired the piece. People always get excited. People who can identify with that childhood.
In essence, we will all have South African work flowing out of us because we are South African.
The Nguni chair that I designed, that's to do with, that's inspired by the horns of the Nguni cattle, really. And so I just sort of married that idea of the form and then the functionality of what a chair back needs to be.
The light was inspired by Ishbelane, which is a traditional dress that is worn by women from Limpopo, and it's called Tutu 2.0 because to me, like that the Ishbelane is an African tutu. I think what makes this one so powerful, right, is the colors, is the size. It's bold and it's bright and it's in your face and it's unapologetic. And there's just something so African about that, and there's something so powerful.
The designers that are represented on the portal specifically represent Southern African aesthetic. What's very important about a lot of the work that's on the portal is it incorporates an element of craft, which is a really special aspect of Southern African design and allows these pieces to uniquely represent us.
We are in a very interesting design industry because it's different to the rest of the world. The rest of the world has incredibly skilled makers situated right around them. In South Africa, we don't have that. So we, as designers, have to become makers in order to execute our product. Now, you can say that's a difficult way to make things. It's not, because it actually allows you to design within your knowledge of making. And that is a much more powerful thing than just designing because you are a designer. So the journey has always been on how to make and how that allows you to be free thinking in the designs that we express.
So I created the can beam whilst in high school. I was in grade 11, and it was inspired through my first cycling project that I did in grade 10, whereby I made a light fixture out of strip cables and plastic bags. I decided to take it further and look for competitions, and I came about quite a few, and the Nando's Hot Young Designer really stood out to me.
I always get a smile on my face when I think about like Nando's and like all the incredible people I've met at Nando's and who've been so incredibly supportive, because in all honesty, having that encounter and meeting those people has changed the entire trajectory of my life. It really happened. I just got goosebumps.
Tracy called me and asked me to come through to her office. I went through then, and she presented me with this contract which proposed that my design be used as the main installation in the Nando's Chicago, as the focal point of that restaurant, and it's also the flagship Nando's, so it's the biggest Nando's in the US. And I cried, obviously. I was not expecting that at all. That was so exciting. And then I learned that I'd be going overseas and be a part of the installation and be doing interviews over there. Goodness, I thought I was gonna puke. I honestly thought I was going to puke every time I did an interview concerning the installation. I would ask them, can I please go to the loo? And I'd just stand there like, oh Lord, what am I gonna say? But it was the best time of my life.
The life cycle of a product is interesting. You design something and only after 2 years it starts selling. It's been like that with some of my most successful products, and it's different with Nando. So I can design something, do a rendering and send it to the designers, and they say, what do you think of this? And they'll say, well, amazing, let's use it. So it gets an immediate entry of product to market. And that relationship has really been pivotal to the growing of my business. It just wouldn't have been the same reality without them.